Hello, everybody. Welcome to Left Hand, Right Brain. All right. We have Jackie Kashian on the couch in here. Yeah, thank you. Yeah, I tried doing that for a picture one time. I was like, yeah, didn't really work out, you know.
Hey, do what you can.
Yeah.
This is very well lit.
I try. I mean, one of the things with these cameras is you got to have good lighting. You know?
Yeah?
Yeah.
All right. What are they?
They're
just
little
GoPro?
Mevo not GoPros, but they're called Mevo Go's or something like that.
Okay. Yeah.
I was able to get HD, cameras for like
Sure.
three of them, $600. Good deal.
Okay. That is a pretty good deal.
Yeah. Now they're doing the 4K ones, but one camera there is like $1,000 almost. So.
Right. It's unnecessary too. Because who wants the aging process this
we gotta
close
see
to
it in
you?
4K.
Exactly. Seems unnecessary.
I know a lot of news anchors, people that are aging, like they hate the high def stuff.
Oh, okay. Well, yeah.
I did video production in college, so a lot of it's like news, a lot of job opportunities. They're like, you getting you ready for news stuff.
Yeah.
That's the big one. Yeah, porn is also
it's an option.
Something people always joke about as an option.
And yet, they always joke about it. But a friend of mine who was in makeup, she started out in porn.
Okay.
And now she's
behind the camera.
Right. Yeah. And now she's respectable.
Yeah.
Not that porn isn't a valid job choice. Sex work is work.
Thank you. Yeah.
There's a bumper sticker.
We're a big proponent of sex work on this podcast. You're right to choose,
Yeah. Do whatever you want.
Yeah.
I hope you get the check. I want to be there for the shift
check.
drink.
You getting the check? Yep. That's really what it boils down to. Is a check. So you're talking about putting out a new album. I just listened to Staycation. So funny, so good.
Thank you. Thanks so much. It was it was, and I think as we were driving over, I was telling you that it was going to be called Altercation, and it had 10 minutes about me losing my temper and having to learn how to deal with that. And because, and now so I'm thinking of putting it back, and by the end of lockdown, I was like, I had, 15 minutes about Zoom and lockdown and masks and all this stuff. And so I was like, and I was home. And once you introduce a pun into the plot, you can't stop thinking about puns. So Altercation, because my last name's Kashian.
Right. Yeah. I think it's a good device.
About fight. And so Staycation, we were all home for 16 months, and my last name's Kashian. So I'm thinking of I was telling you that I was thinking about trying to put that 10-15 back in. Plus, because I have a new hour, because I'm going to do it this year. The new album and the new.
Do you know where? Exclusive?
Acme.
Okay.
Oh, I always do Acme.
Acme. Okay.
Unless, for some reason,
they're good to you. They're good to you. You like them.
It's my home club.
You're not going to do the mothership. No,
right, the mothership. They'd probably pay me to do it. I understand they print money. So
I've heard Rogan say it's the mecca of comedy in the world now.
Oh, is that what he says?
That's what he says.
Well, it's good to know that he's
staying humble.
What the fuck? That's amazing to me that he would say such a thing.
I thought it was an interesting statement.
It's he's what I have heard about it, quite honestly, is that he's not making any money on it. He doesn't need the money.
Sure.
And for some reason, of all the things that you can say about Joe Rogan, he's clearly a guy who's like, no, I have enough money.
Yeah.
He's the only person on the planet Earth who made enough money and went, no, I'm good. And
but then continues to make a bunch of money.
And then continues to make money, but then
right.
doesn't need it.
Yeah,
That's actually not true. There are good people who make a lot of money and then they give it all away. Like Jay Leno. He never used any of his.
Right. But I thought he kept all of it.
No, his wife her entire job for the last 50 years is to give away their money.
Okay, interesting.
And so she's a philanthropist and has given away all of his money. And then he does corporates.
Right.
But to hire Jay Leno to do your corporate is $250,000. So he's fine.
Yeah.
Right?
Right.
Plus, remember this, Jay Leno has no albums.
Right.
Because
never burned material.
He's out
famously.
of his mind. He's out of his mind. No one cares.
Have you heard, is he still doing the same jokes? Have you heard this? Comedy veteran in here. I don't know if the audience knows. Jackie's been...
Comedy Works South, please come.
Yes.
Tell others.
Yes.
Tomorrow, Thursday, the 9, 10, 11?
Yep.
Of
9,
January.
10, 11.
5 shows.
South Club. totally worth it. You're
Totally
gonna,
worth
you're
it.
gonna love it.
New hour.
New hour.
But the yeah, no, he has a new hour. Leno has a new hour right now that he's been working on for a couple of years.
Okay.
And it is, in many ways, it's so much better than his monologue stuff, which I think sort of pulled the teeth out of his stand-up, you know? Like when he was headlining clubs in the 80s, he was epic. He was just amazing.
Yeah, monster, right?
Yeah.
A comedy monster is what
Sort
I've
of
heard.
like when you saw Drew Carey in the 90s. The guy was destroying. He was a
Crazy.
murderer. And then after you'd see him go on stage and you're like, what's happening? And he's still, I mean, these are still good comics, right? I mean, in his sleep, Jay Leno could make an audience laugh. You know, Bill Cosby to this day
Scandal noted.
And what?
Got that from Pete Holmes. Scandal noted.
Scandal noted. Oh my God,
Separating the art
hilarious.
from the artist kind of thing, you know.
Well, and the thing, and I think he didn't Bill Cosby do a set like 3 years ago?
Yeah, I think he was trying to tour, right? Like right after he got out of prison.
And it didn't work, but he did get to do a set at some jazz club.
Okay.
And he picked up a set in between their sets, and everybody was outraged. And other people were like, it was kind of funny. But he remains a monster.
Right.
I mean, he was, he did, I am always
not
reminded.
Not a comedy monster.
Right. Not that kind of monster. And,
sorry, we're going all over
Rogan,
the place.
Yeah. So, but it's weird that Rogan, because here's what I've heard, is that he pays incredibly well.
Right.
Because the money, it just gets plowed back into the staff, back into the space, back into the comics. And so, good.
Yeah. That's great. It's a service to the, you know,
if I wanted, you know, and the thing is I don't know if he offered me a weekend, would I work? I don't know. I don't know. Because there's part of me that believes that only straight white men should not work places because I don't get to work a lot of places.
Because the opportunity isn't there for other people.
I don't get to work Heliums. I don't get to work the Improvs. I don't get to work the Funny Bones. I don't get to work all of the chains. The Tacoma, Spokane, you know, I think they own Skyline now.
Okay.
They have like 5 clubs. There's all of those chains. None of them booked me. So
that's just because they don't believe in female comedians.
They're not a huge
being
fan.
Good money makers.
I don't actually. For 30 years, it never occurred to me it was sexism.
Okay. And
then I met Lori Kilmartin, and she was like, "Have you never looked in the mirror?" And I was like, "No." And she was like, "Allow me to explain to you that sometimes there are people who genuinely don't like women." And I was like, "What?" And I know that people were mean to me and that I've been sexually assaulted and I've been attacked and I've had to fight things off and I've had to say, that's not cool to say. I mean, I've had to do all the things that were the results of sexism happening to me.
Mm-hmm.
But I never thought, I genuinely just didn't think about it as institutionalized. And I think it might be. There might be something happening where, because one of my favorite is, and nice enough guy, man, like him, Rich Miller, Dennis Miller's brother, the nicest of the Miller boys. You
know everybody. It's so cool.
Yeah. So but Rich Miller, I would say he owned Cap City until Mark Grossman bought it from him in the midst of the pandemic.
Okay.
And then turned around and got a PPP. Anyway.
Oh, interesting.
So Mark Grossman, owner of Heliums, made some bank. And Rich Miller, who's always been, he's just a comedy fan. And he's a working guy. But he always said, it's not that I don't find you funny, Jackie. It's just you don't fill rooms. And we could break down that sentence. First of all, no, you don't. You know that other people think I'm funny, so you don't want to offend me. I don't fill rooms, neither does naming 6 comics in a row that are my age or a little bit younger, a little bit older, but are dudes.
Right.
Some of them even golf. Anyway, or they drink or they party or they want to go sleep with virgins in South America. There's things happening that I don't want to do.
Sure. Come on, you want to be part of the boys club, Jackie? Come on.
I think I never wanted to be, but I would be like, I always gave as good as I got, which I think was the boys club. And I was like, oh, I think I'm in the club that it's exhausting. But we were talking about this a little bit on the ride too, is that I have sat in rooms where other women have been belittled and I haven't said anything because I'd be like, well, you got to stand up for yourself. And you're just like, no, you should be there for each other. And just as other humans, right? Because the men who didn't stand up for me, there would be decent men in the room when gross things were being said to me. And they would make fleeting eye contact and go, I too wish to be booked. I too wish to be booked. And so I did that when horrible things were said to other women and when horrible things were said to people who were gay or people who were black or brown or Asian. And I didn't stand up for it. When it was egregious. I'm not an idiot. When there was egregious racism, I would say something. But when it was casual.
Right.
Just.
It's like the everyday thing you'd hear. Yeah. Like a throwaway joke, comment, whatever.
Yeah. Just the comments.
Yeah.
And to some extent, this happened to me not long ago. I fulfilled the part of the asshole. It turns out I was in a car with a tour manager and a bus driver of the tour, and neither one of those men were assholes. And so there was a vacuum, and I decided to fulfill that vacuum. What?
No, I remember hearing this on the Jackie and Laura show. You should check it out.
Right.
But please continue.
But so the learning curve continues, right?
Sure.
I am not perfect. I am not, and I look
perfect.
I look perfect, but I do a bit that is pretty new, trying to figure it out, right? Which means that there aren't a lot of punchlines. One day, because I'm not going to record till June, you guys. You guys want to hear the new hour?
Yeah.
And maybe be there for the new punchline? Do it.
Comedy works out.
Mm-hmm. So, but the way I look, especially the more I age, I look like either your favorite aunt or someone who's taken 500 years of institutionalized racism and is about to make it about a parking space.
Oh, okay.
It's not ideal. It's not ideal. So I have to actively make sure I'm not that, while also not expecting a parade, while also not expecting the black and brown and Asian people in my life to just sort of react positive to me afterwards or during. And I don't, it's not like I'm expecting a thumbs up, but I'm vigilant
Constant
if
vigilance.
I am. Constant vigilance, Mad Eye Moody.
Yep.
Another mess.
I always wanted to get that on my knuckles. Constant vigilance. It won't fit, but I thought it'd be cool.
It wouldn't fit. It's just
constant
the 4
and then vigilance.
Right? Oh, you'd have to get in. I've always wanted to get one tattoo, and every time I tell anybody, everybody's always said, "Don't do it." Do you have any tattoos?
Oh yeah, I have a
pile of tattoos.
Yeah.
So, first of all, it'd be on the bottom of my foot. Oh, there you go.
Yeah.
Ooh. And it would be on the bottom
of your foot.
Right, which people are like, it's going to wear off.
Notoriously terrible place.
Right, because it's painful, it's going to wear off. And I'm like, will it be funny for as long as it lasts? Yes.
Wow.
So, my husband's name is Andy. I would like to get his name tattooed on my foot, on the bottom of my foot. Not because he owns me, but he does own my heart.
Oh, that's nice.
Because he's nice.
Yeah,
and he's
nice.
a good person. And whenever I say that, he always says, please tell them I'm dangerous. And I'm like, okay.
No, I do love the relationship you have with your husband and the way you tell jokes about him. Because whenever I do jokes about my wife, I try not to just fall into those 3 stereotypes you talk about on the Horcrux special. I think it was that one. And I do this bit about how my wife's into witchcraft and that scares me. Like basically I love her, but I'm scared,
Right.
And
Because you don't know.
yeah, I was raised Catholic, very superstitious bunch,
Right.
Any horror movie where one spouse is into witchcraft, it's always the other one that gets a shrapnel, So I'm constantly being like, is this disrespectful? Am I being like, oh, I don't want to be my wife's a bitch. I don't want to be
No.
my wife's,
The problem.
no sex, blah, blah, blah.
She should always be the hero. Is
Yeah,
Andy
okay.
Ashcraft
She would love
the
that.
only person who has line veto over
Your husband.
jokes about him? Yeah, Andy's the only one who has the ability to veto it, or at least the ability to, because I will fight the veto if I'm really committed to it. And he's like, well, then do a real serious rewrite, and that's fine too, because iteration, it makes everything better. And when his mother moved in with us like 2.5 years ago,
okay,
he also got line veto for that. She did not, because I don't care. My father doesn't get he doesn't get line veto. He doesn't get veto. Every time it's just on the I have a bit that is not on any album, but it's on a clip because I was just mad one night. I just talked to him, and the last
Your
time I
dad?
had lunch, what?
Your father, you're talking
Yeah, my
your
dad.
head? Okay.
Yeah, my dad. So I was having lunch with my dad, and I did a bit months ago that turned into a clip just from me ranting on stage. And I posted it. I did not think it populated to Facebook, which he has. I thought I had kept it just on Instagram,
Okay.
which he does not have. And it turns out it populated to Facebook. And so the last time we had lunch, he said, you know that bit you do about me? Where you call me a bigot? And I was like, oh, you saw that? He said, you know that everywhere I live, everybody I live with, I'm the only white guy. And I said, you know, you haven't been white your entire life. You know that? And because when he was a kid, he was the only, there were a lot of Armenian immigrants,
okay.
and they were the people of color.
Gotcha.
And he was mocked. And and my father has always said, I get to be racist because people were racist against me.
What
And
a
I was
statement.
like, actually, no. Actually, that isn't how that goes. And I said, but did you know that you have been passing for white for the last 60 years? And so you might want to, I mean, that is, of course, the big thing with immigrants in this country is if you can define when your family became white, that is what differentiates you from people that have racism against them. Because I can define it as 60 years ago. My father's 87, so maybe even 67 years ago.
Gotcha.
Because when my dad was probably 18, or he joined the Navy when he was 17 or 18. And I think he was considered white plus, I believe the Armenian community introduced a law in California, and then it went nationwide to declare that Armenians were white because of the Caucasus. Like, it's one of those weird laws.
Interesting.
It's a mountain range, right?
Okay.
And it's the origin of the word Caucasian.
Ah.
So the Caucasus are in that area. Whatever. But if you want to think about your own racism and your own, where did your people immigrate from?
Well, on my mom's side, they came from Portugal, and the Azores. My grandfather immigrated over when there was a volcano exploded in like the 50s, 60s.
Yeah.
They opened immigration. That part of the family came over. My dad's side's Mexican, so and I'm white passing, so that's something I think about a lot. Or
so you're aware.
Yeah,
yeah.
My brother not as white. He's darker skinned,
right.
and different dads, but
okay. Yeah.
I'm white passing, so it's, or at least it depends on who you ask. Some are like, no, I could see it.
Have you heard Lori's joke about her son?
No, I haven't.
Because her son's father is Mexican.
Okay.
And when he was about 9, he said, am I white or am I Mexican? And Lori was like, I don't know. Let's ask a cop. And the cop said, Latino, male, 6 to 17. I need backup. And that was the joke. Yes. Lori Kilmartin, very funny.
Yeah, check
you
her
might
out.
look her up.
She was just at Fort Collins?
Right. Just missed her at Fort Collins. She sold out.
She'll come again, I'm sure.
Right. I'd like to sell out Comedy Works South. Anyway.
We'll do our best here. You're going to get the LHRB bump here, okay? You'll notice.
Finally.
Go up to her afterwards. If you're doing a meet and greet and say, I heard you on Left Hand Right Brain.
Oh, please do, actually. And my meet and greet is sort of intertwined with my merch table, which you do not have to purchase anything. You could just say hi. But I have beanies and I have t-shirts right now. Though I am working. So you listen to Staycation. Did you listen to Hero at all?
I couldn't find Hero on YouTube. I put in Hero, but I didn't.
Oh, Hero's on YouTube, but it's just the audio.
Okay. Oh, yeah. Okay. But I guess I didn't. That was
Right, because it's I have 5 albums, I think, on YouTube. I have a half an album that I recorded all by myself, like a big girl,
interesting.
in 2003. And it was, if you ever see an actual compact disc in a used compact disc store called Cake Is Not My Downfall, with a picture of me coming out of a cake from Singing in the Rain, don't buy it because
Don't buy it.
I burned it on my computer and all of those files have disappeared. So the only thing left on it was the embedded file, which was very popular in 2003 to put an embedded file. So there is a text file on that CD. So if it's $2 and you would like a chicken, there it is.
Yep, found it.
I
found a picture.
That's Cake Is Not My Downfall. You're gonna, but if you find, but Hero, I'm Not the Hero.
Hero, I looked up on
YouTube as well.
These are the ones I got, yeah.
Oh, there's plenty of random videos of me, of course. And then I think Bread had the animated.
Bread.
Yeah, see, did you see the one with me holding? Did you see the video down low?
Down low.
Scrolling. There it is.
Holding bread.
The arrows and the bow and arrow. That's it. Got my hope.
When the election happened, I, of course, terrified, like many people, scared, thinking about, registration acts. And
This is the first political bit I ever did.
Okay.
Prior to this, it was socio-political, but this was recorded 6 weeks after the 2016 election, and I was terrified.
Right, yeah.
And so the first 10 minutes of my set was just me going, you guys, what's going to happen? And then I, of course, I did a joke. A lot of my fans are listening to it now because there was hope on it. There was, and we did survive. And there's proof that we will survive. I mean, it's not, you can only do what you can, obviously, right?
Right.
And you can help the people in front of you. But this bit, the Got My Hope bit, is actually about how I got all my hope from my Black friends, which of course was not their job.
Right.
To make me feel better. But I was like, well, what do we do? And to a person, every single one of my friends, person of color, said, well, you just keep going. Horrible things happen, but you just keep going and you make sure that you're safe and you try to help the person in front of you and you try to make sure that you're happy because the bad guys don't want you to be happy. You just keep going. And I was like, wait, you just keep going. And finally, one of my friends goes, Jesus, is this the first time you've been disappointed? And I'm like, no, Reagan. Because I might not be young, you guys. Anyway, but but it was that, and it was a real wake-up call for me. When my friend said that to me, I was like, oh,
interesting.
Okay.
Yeah.
All right. And I've lived by it, because just because he wasn't in power doesn't mean that the fascists weren't working very hard.
Right.
And doing good work, getting back into power.
Right.
So
yeah.
They're a nightmare, and all we can do is stand up to them, and nobody gets on the trains, So that's the genocide bit.
Cool. Yeah.
Is ridiculous.
I mean, it's a cool message. I mean, I like that.
Yeah, but so the first 10 minutes is about my grandmother's Armenian genocide, a joke that was so emotionally draining that after I recorded this, I probably only did the bit 3 more times live. And I was like, I don't wanna. It's emotionally draining to talk about my grandmother's marching across Syria. So, but I think of the 3 dots on the bottom. You can go to the album. The other to your right. Wait, to my right. There you go. See album? Is that in there?
No.
Boo. Anyway, if you go to YouTube later.
Yeah, for sure. I'll definitely.
It'll it'll run it, and you can listen to it. So
Yeah, definitely check it out. Definitely worth a listen. I mean, did something, you hear a lot, speaking truth to power with your comedy, things like this. Is that something you've thought more about or always tried to do? Is that
never
something?
tried to do it before. Just here's the thing: I overthink everything. So
I'm right there with you.
Early albums, I was not constantly, but often told that I was just too smart for the room, and I'm like, you're underestimating the audience, and you're overestimating me. And my references are usually nerd references, and there's usually nerds in the audience because they're comedy fans. And I have a podcast called The Dork Forest. So it's not hard and everybody gets everything eventually, right? I mean, it's not that hard. One of my favorite things, though, is because some people don't agree with my socio-political stance prior to this album. And there was, let's see, the first album was Circus People. It was Cake, but Cake I don't count. It was Circus People, and then It's Never Gonna Be Bread, and then I think it was Horcrux, and then it was Hero, and then it was Staycation. So that's 5. And then then there was a great lawsuit that cost me $1 gajillion, and I recorded a live album that is only on Sirius XM with some of the material that'll be on this next album.
Okay.
Some of the material that was on Staycation.
Pulling a T Swift and re-recording your old stuff. Huh?
Yeah.
Taking it back.
That's it. Just take it back. Take back the night.
Yeah, it's going to be your Eras tour.
It was my Eras tour.
No, this is your Eras tour.
This is my Eras tour. This is my you reap what you sow, motherfucker tour.
Ooh, nice.
And so I don't know if I can swear.
You can.
But okay, so so there's the discology. So Bread, if you've never heard any of my stand-up, Bread would be the place to start. Circus People is my first album, and I love it dearly. But it's a lot of stories about my dad, which people love. But
I'm taking financial advice from your dad over here. I'm like,
right.
I'm about to die. You're not going to get your student loans back. All right. If you
That's
can take $200 right now, or I'm
that's it.
Or I'm jumping off.
Oh my
cliff.
God. My student loans. I remember when I still had my student loans, and the woman who was my student, and I was like, I can give you $200 a month. And they were like, we need $240. And I was like, I didn't come up with that number arbitrarily.
Right.
I actually looked at my budget, and that is the maximum amount. And they're like, well, that's not going to be enough. I learned later that I should have just been sending them $200 a month forever, because then it would have ended. And they couldn't have done it really. They could have, with student loans, I think they could have haunted me more. But so I didn't pay for like 2 years.
Right.
And they would
I'm
haunt
right
me.
there with you.
And they call and they call and they call.
Uh-huh.
And I got a call once, Cap City. Rich Miller did book me Cap City. Like I was on like a 6-year rotation. It was the dumbest rotation in the world. I was like, if you booked me more often, I could probably fill the room. And so he booked me 3 years in a row, and it didn't work. And I was like,
Filling the room.
I guess we're done. Whatever. And then Mark Grossman took over. But the
student loans.
So one of the first years I think he owned it, I go to do it. Might have been before he owned it. So I go to pick up. This was back in the 90s. So I fly to Austin, Texas, which is where Cap City is.
Right.
I take a cab somehow to the club, where at this time you stayed at a condo and they lent you a car.
Oh,
Think about the ill-advisedness of that.
Right.
To lend a vehicle to a different set of comedians every week. Just drunk driving, drugs.
Right.
All of the terrible things. And
because there were a lot of comics talk about, we got paid in cocaine back then, you know?
Right. And one of the last times I go to pick up the car. The manager's there. While I'm there to pick up the car, the phone rings. She answers it. She comes out of the office and goes, your student loan officer is on the phone?
Oh, shit.
And I said, what? She said, should I just tell her you're not here? And I said, no, this sort of sleuthing deserves.
Yeah, that's a crazy. Yeah.
Yeah. So I once tried to lie to her once, and I said that I was my sister, and she was like, "You sound just like yourself." Anyway, but this woman was amazing. So I get on the phone, and she's like, "Hi, we have to talk about your student loans." And I said, "How did you find me?" And she goes, "I looked at your website." And I said,
very
"You're
sneaky.
alone in doing that, and congratulations." And it turns out I still have $200 a month. And she's like, $240. And then the next
what a weird one.
month, she had somehow gotten away from me, and it was a different person. And that person said, $200 a month is fine. And then I paid it off eventually, you guys. Remember, I'm 100, though.
What does it feel like, huh? To not have the crushing burden.
Right, the burden? Yeah. I can't believe you haven't been forgiven. You didn't qualify? Or?
Dude, and anytime I want to, I've been getting calls recently where they're talking about student loan stuff, and I'm like, this is a scam. I'm just like, this is a scam. I'm not doing, obviously a scam.
Right?
Yeah, if anyone called me at work or anywhere else that wasn't, I'd be like, scam. What are you doing?
Scam?
Yeah.
Maybe.
So
I don't
trusting
know.
back then, huh?
I paid it off some time ago. So
congratulations.
It's been a while. But the last time I worked at that gig where we had the car, I'd stopped drinking for obvious reasons. 2 DUIs.
How long have you been sober?
Long time, like 25 years.
Oh, congratulations.
And thanks.
You're
And,
not making a big deal about it, like some people.
Well, I don't know what to say
Greg
about
Fitzsimmons is just like, wow.
Does he lose his mind?
I mean, I listen to some of his pods, and he's like, I'm 25 years sober now.
Oh, okay. Well, good.
Congratulations. I'm just joking.
I bet you if he wasn't, it'd be a real problem. Have you met Greg Fitzsimmons?
Because he's Irish? No, I've tried to get
No,
him
because he has rage issues. So do I.
He did say, would you fight?
Not Greg Fitzsimmons. The Fitz dog? Nah, I got nothing mean to say to the Fitz dog.
Yeah.
Yeah, I don't know. But the last time I worked at the club,
Cap City?
It doesn't matter. It's whatever. Move on to something else. Go ahead.
Okay, I'm sorry. I didn't mean to do
That's all right.
It just reminded me of that.
Of Greg Fitzsimmons. That's fine.
Yeah. Yeah. So is it what's any of the big shifts from comedy from like the 90s? Early when you start to now.
I wish the money had gone up, the way the bills had gone up, and the way the charging at the door had gone up. Like it's $25 to go see stand up in most places.
Right.
Last club I worked at that was $7. I was in shock. I was like, that's less than a movie. And now I see why you people are dirtbags. Anyway, it was in Albuquerque. It was 20 odd years ago, if not 15 years ago. Russ Rivas, I think, owned the club. I will name names.
I like
that. He was gross.
We name names on this pod.
Feel free to he might have passed away. I might not be taking the big. Plus, I would never go back. Anyway,
gotcha.
His condo, he had somehow chained the iron to the wall, which tells you the caliber of comics that he was booking. Someone was stealing an $11 iron, or he was afraid that they were. Anyway, so the club, when I first started doing stand-up, which was in 84, if you did the road to feature, it was usually one-nighters on the road were 2-person gigs. And I believe that's still to be true, right? Somebody did 30, somebody did 45 to 60.
I mean, some people bring their own. I mean, the only road things I hear about, like people doing comedy works. Yeah, I guess not one-nighters. No,
just one-nighters.
One-nighters.
Yeah, one-nighters are different. So
they still go around?
Yeah, plenty of them are still around.
Okay.
People are still booking them.
That's good.
And they still, sadly, pay what they paid. They pay $50 to $100 to open, and $200 to maybe $250 or $300 to close. So it did go up a little bit. But when I started doing it to feature, you would get a hotel room if you opened. And some places still do it, but mostly they don't. And a headline, you'd get a hotel room. But there'd be no travel for either one of them. No gas, no nothing. You'd get free beer and free whatever, taquitos and chicken tenders.
Whatever that's sold at the club, yeah.
Yeah, and then you'd have to find the bartender. Make sure you get paid. So clubs were paying I think it was $1,200 for a headliner week. And headliner week was Wednesday to Sunday often.
Oh, okay.
Or Tuesday to Sunday.
Damn.
Yeah, so they were full weeks, $1,200.
One show a night?
One show until Friday, Saturday, 2 shows.
Gotcha.
So it was usually 7 shows for the week,
Yeah.
$1,200. And that is what a lot of real basic clubs are still paying. But now it's less shows. But to get into the show was $10, $7.
Right.
Or they were papering the room entirely. And the feature would get a hotel room. And that is not happening. Everybody's using local features and MCs now so that they don't have to pay the hotel. And the Comedy Works South and Comedy Works Downtown, I think I got to do it twice. I like Downtown a lot. I like South a lot.
I saw you there.
Yeah. But the Comedy Works is the only club that I stay at their condo.
Right. Yeah. Famously, notoriously great condo, Comedy Works.
And I have to assume that it is because she employs the kind of people to clean it that would clean a hotel room. Because it is hotel clean.
Interesting.
It is always extraordinarily clean. And in other condos, like the sheets don't match. There's crates. I would have to spend
Crates.
there was a club in Tulsa. The last time I think I stayed, I did that club. Whenever there was a condo, I would have to spend the first day cleaning the condo.
Dang. All right.
And famously, one year I followed Todd Glass around the country headlining, and he has got the good OCD.
Okay.
Todd Glass does.
Yeah.
And so every week I'd show up and it'd be spotless. And I was like, can I just follow around the country, Todd Glass? And he would always he's a guy that travels with his own gels. Did you know this?
No.
Yeah, he puts gels over lights. He likes lighting how he likes it. He likes music at the right sound.
Interesting.
He likes all the things. So, is this what they're watching? Are they seeing
I'll put this up on
screen?
the YouTube thing as well. So yeah, they can see who Todd Glass is. He came to Denver pre-pandemic. I remember him doing the rounds.
He's great.
At some indie shows.
You know what he is? A genuinely unique voice in stand-up comedy. And he likes to do variety stuff. He likes to mix in music often. And I think characters and stuff. I don't know.
Like he'll play music or he'll have bands?
He has a band.
Okay.
And he might play music. Don't know. All I know is that when he goes on stage, I'm always like, what's going to happen? And so it's kind of fascinating for me. So there's so much. I will say this about stand-up is that we have been in a golden age of stand-up comedy since probably 1999, maybe 97.
So a lot of people say the bubble burst in the early aughts, and then now it's getting back.
Here,
it's big now.
There might have been a lull in there as far as talent
after Dane
goes.
Cook, it all kind of.
Oh, as far as numbers go, or as far as talent goes?
I don't know. Popularity of stand-up.
Remember, like in '97, I think the alt scene started, right? Garofalo, Zach Galifianakis, Paul F. Tompkins, Marilyn Rice-Cooke, Kara Kilgariff, Bob Odenkirk, David Cross, the people who became famous, right?
Yeah.
And very, very successful. Plenty of other people. Names, Jackie. Anybody? Margaret Cho.
Did you say Maron came out or no?
Maron.
It was
Mark
later.
Maron. Oh, yeah. Ha. Anyway, I love Maron. I have been meaning to watch Maron's specials just because of this next special. Just to look. There's something I'm looking for this next album special.
Okay, interesting.
That I think Maron is doing. And it's not content. And it's not. It might be vibe.
I was going to say vibe.
And
right?
it might be 30 years of that vibe. And I have not actually got to see his long set in ages. So
I saw his last HBO thing. It was a lot different. You know, he's talked about the death of his partner, and
Lynn.
It was
intense.
Yeah, it was
Yeah,
it wasn't all laughs.
No.
It was funny, but he was talking about some serious stuff in there too.
Which might be why I was sort of gravitating towards it, because some of this stuff I've got a new chunk. I got 20 minutes on the mother-in-law. That's good stuff. Which includes like 5-10 minutes about, I got dogs now.
Oh.
I got a new 6-minute chunk about driving. That's there for everybody. I got 3 new dick jokes right there at the end. I don't have a lot of sex jokes. I don't write a lot of sex jokes. And now I've been married for some time. And so I don't write they're usually just sort of fun. They're 2 sex jokes, so they're not that. I mean, at Staycation, did I do the tantric sex thing at the end of
No.
Staycation? It must be at the end of Hero, because I did it on the Two Dope Queens
Okay.
HBO set. I did,
Yeah.
and that might be the last time I did it. And it's it's an amazing. Objectively, if Joe Rogan were talking about himself from a
Okay.
drone's eye view, that joke is kind of epic in the fact that it is, it's called tantric sex, and
I'm there.
I think
I'm
it's
in
on
it.
Hero,
Okay.
and it's the
Yeah,
last
because I
track.
don't remember it on
Yeah,
Staycation.
it's a romance novel thing that goes into it, and the weird thing is, there's a couple of sets that are on YouTube. There's an NPR set, and there's the Two Dope Queens set, and they're a mix of, just because I'm looking for different material that will work in a 10-minute set, I pull things from different albums, and there are certain themes that recur in all of my albums, right? I have 5 siblings.
Yeah,
have a
Your
father.
dad's a
I have a
good go-to.
stepmother. It's true. I've been married for at least 3 albums. I have, I enjoy stand-up comedy. I'm a bit of a dork, so I have dorky stuff. So, yeah. So when I did,
You're talking, yeah.
like, I read a lot. So, like, the NPR thing has this reading bit, which I think is from Horcrux, that leads into this friendship bit, which I think is in Hero.
Okay.
Which, and I was like, oh, that's actually that makes all the sense in the world. Because that's why I've been thinking about doing an entire album of just my dad's stories. Because it would just be a half an hour. And, but the people like it so much. And, oh, wow. Because of the fires, it's so sad. Some of the paintings that my dad painted, they're all over the place. They might have got burned. So just in different houses, and of course other things would have burned, like people's homes.
Right.
So not the issue that I meant to talk about. So sorry.
Oh, no.
But
No, yeah,
that's
just
all right.
so the listener knows, yeah, as of this recording, there's some wildfires in Los Angeles. So.
Yeah, the world's gone. The wind went completely bananas. We have 3 inflatable snowmen in front of our house, and Andy crushed them down so that we would not float off like Up.
Hero.
Yeah, like or Hero.
Well, yeah, he's a hero. No, that's it's crazy. Yeah, just the idea the fireman has to be so scary. Yeah, there was a kind of a perfect storm with like wind and like us being very dry here that happened not too long ago as well, and it's like this element of nature, and you're like, I don't know what's happening, it's like.
Well, I have an unsubstantiated belief that the Earth, which may or may not be sentient, is like, are there really 8 billion of this one animal? We have got to kill it.
Right. Yeah.
And I am sympathetic, but not supportive. Still using the planet. Sorry.
Yeah. Yeah. Well, I saw Chris Hardwick came to Comedy Works earlier or last year.
Okay.
And I'd seen him. And Chris Hardwick was just a big influence on me podcast wise. And I was like, who do you think is on the podcasting Mount Rushmore if you had to do one?
You know
and
what's
he
interesting?
said you.
He said me.
Yeah, he said you were on it because I was like, you definitely have to be on it. Marin, Rogan,
and
just because he's so big,
and Pardo.
Such a force. Pardo, interesting.
Did he say Pardo?
Yeah,
or
I don't recall
who his 4th was.
Yeah. But I mean, I've always been thinking about who my podcast Mount Rushmore is, so I was curious on what your thoughts were.
Yeah.
Because you're a veteran in the podcast realm.
19 years.
OG.
I've been doing the Dork Forest.
Kevin Smith, maybe.
I got in on the ground floor of something that doesn't make me a great deal of cash. And that's fine because I don't do it for the money.
It.
Well, and that's it. If you are going to start a podcast, and you are, just face it. It's because you want to.
You gotta love it,
right? There might be 100 people who want to hear what you have to say, and you might have a hook. But but I will say that you have to want to do it,
right?
Because you don't know if there's going to be any money. And like the Jackie and Laurie show, I think, and I've been doing that for 7 years. I did not know that. Maybe I might be 9, whatever it is, it's longer than I think. And because it was right before the 16 election, so 15.
Okay. Yeah,
Six-
2015.
That'd be
9
10 years, right?
Yeah, right before the 15. Yeah, then that's 10 years.
Yeah, that's a long time.
Yeah.
Lori doesn't know this, but we're friends. She didn't know that we were building a friendship for a long time, and
before the podcast.
Before the no, the podcast has been the podcast.
The friendship. Okay.
So like she was out of town, and her son. I was like, well, does he want to come over? And he's 17 at the time. He's 18 now, but I was like, does he want to come over and play games? My husband's a game designer. We're constantly gaming.
Nice.
Her young man enjoys a game. So he came over, hung out with us for a day, played a game. And she Venmo'd me money. And I was like
a babysitter?
Yeah. I was like, that's not actually. She said, well, you had to pick him up and drop him off. And I know you had to feed him. And I said, yes, that's what people do with friends.
That's a friend, yeah.
Yeah. And with friends' kids, it's not that big of a deal. I know he has a hollow leg. We had plenty of food. He's a growing young man, so it's okay. Yeah. But we are. It is. I like her so much. She's a good person, and she's so freaking funny. And she would also probably like to tell you that she's dangerous. So
everyone wants to be thought of as a badass. I've thought about that a long time as well.
Right.
Because there's no friction with the business part of the podcast with the friendship. Because I've tried to do pods with a friend and it just kind of fell apart. Not the friendship, but the pod, because they didn't want to do it.
Like who does what?
Or just coming over every Sunday to record.
The first 3 years of the Dork Forest, I had a co-host.
Oh, okay.
And he finally was like, I do most of the work. I got to go. And I was like, or he didn't say it like that. He said, I think I'm going to work on my thing. This is your thing. And I was like, well, we don't make any money on this. And I think let's continue to be friends. And he said, okay. And then when he left, that's when I appreciated exactly how much work he did do, which was most of it. And then I learned to do more things. So with Lori and I, we have a producer and we have an umbrella podcast company, Max Fun, which is super fun. And they do a great deal. So that helps.
Yeah, you send the audio files off to them and they take care of it. Right.
When we do get into friction is when Lori sometimes gets super depressed or down, or I get super judgmental. These are the two things that are not good on our podcast. And so that when she gets super depressed, I get irritated. When I get judgmental, it turns out she doesn't enjoy that. I may not be perfect, you guys. The journey continues. Right. And so I tell a story about macing this guy. And it isn't, the guy was super drunk and he said to me, let's talk, you seem nice. And I'm like, that sadly is an illusion. And so, because I am nice, but I'm not a saint.
Right.
I'm a normal walking around human being. I get to have all the things.
Sure.
Yep.
Yeah. So the comedy or the podcast Mount Rushmore, who do you got?
I don't listen to any podcasts. That's the problem.
Okay.
So I guess it would be like Marin and Pardo. And
Pardo. I'll have to check it out.
Do you know Jimmy Pardo?
I've heard of, I know the name. Yeah. I couldn't.
Yeah. You know who's got a new one? That's the only podcast I've listened to. Is Wiser Than Me. It's the Julia Louis-Dreyfus.
Okay.
She was Elaine.
Yeah.
And
that one I got. Yeah.
Right. She's famous, it turns out.
She's in the MCU.
But she's in the MCU. She interviews extraordinarily famous old women. Carol Burnett. Billie Jean King.
Okay.
Who the fuck has Billie Jean King's phone number?
She's not making the rounds, the pod rounds. I think she's going to be on Two Bears, One Cave next week.
God. It's, but just because I wish I could name all the people, but I can't. And, there's only 2 seasons of it.
Okay.
And each episode is about a little over an hour.
I get mad at them. Like, these famous people have to know podcasting is a grind. You can't just Do it whenever you want, Conan.
And call it seasonal.
Yeah.
Right. Because I didn't do 52 episodes this year. I did 51.
Right, yeah. I heard you say
And
that.
actually, I might have done 49. And I forgot to number one 2 episodes ago. So I'm like,
well.
welcome to
Everything
episode
sucks.
84.5, 804.5. And but it was a great episode, Aaron Judge. So I guess it would be Marin and Pardo, but I would put Julia Louis-Dreyfus just because of what she's doing.
Interesting.
And who she's talking to. And
you could throw Chris on there just because he's saying, yeah.
Right back
throw a
at
dog up on, yeah.
Nerdist?
Yeah, Nerdist.
Hardwick?
Nerdist was a big. I mean, that was a juggernaut for a little while.
It was a juggernaut. I was on it a couple of times.
Yeah, I enjoyed the podcast. I enjoyed. So I was definitely introduced to you.
Okay. Well, I remember I did a show of his where he did stand up, and I did a 10-minute set, and I got like tens of thousands. He's done nothing but good. Sure, put Chris Hardwick on.
Thank you. All right. I didn't mean to force you. It's, whoever you want on your Mount Rushmore.
Yeah, I don't have a. But have you been to Mount Rushmore?
No, I haven't.
Let me tell you about the experience. You drive up to Mount Rushmore, you look up, and you're like, you want lunch? There's nothing to do, as opposed to Crazy Horse, which is an hour from there.
Oh, okay, I thought it was off to the side.
No, it's on a Native American, it's on an Indian reservation, and they're doing it themselves. The government under Clinton, I think, offered, was it Clinton? Can't tell. Offered to pay for it.
Okay.
And they turned him down because they're like, I think not.
Right, yeah.
And what we're going to do is we're going to charge. And so they've been working on, and it's 4 times the size of Mount Rushmore. And it's Crazy Horse on a horse. It's the Native American leader on a horse, and he's pointing. And I remember seeing it 30 years ago, and you could just see the outline of the horse and his nose. And now you can almost see like the full side of the horse and his face. But here's the thing, 2 things. First of all, it costs $15 a carload to get in. Wait, $35 a carload to get in. They have a museum curated by Native Americans and by themselves. And it is the history of Native American stuff, including racist stuff. And so
interesting.
The writing, the stuff, they're like, this is really cool. They're trading cards from the early 1900s. And, but don't call us this. And this is painful, but they're kind of cool. And it's a lot of that. And then the other thing that's cool about it, so the museum is great. The gift shop's amazing. The other thing that's amazing is, and I will regret this until I do it, you spend $35 to get in. There is a shuttle that you could pay for another $15 that will take you on a small van so you can stand next to the nose and get a picture.
You want to do that now? Lifelong dream.
Do you not want to do that?
I mean,
Are you made of stone? What is happening? Did you never see North by Northwest? Do you not?
I haven't seen it.
Okay, fair enough. It's an old movie with Cary Grant.
I do.
And
love
he
Cary
is
Grant.
standing next to the nose of like Washington. So
okay.
Yeah, I would like to stand next to a giant rock nose, please. I'm not asking a lot.
No, $15.
Yeah, $15. I got $15.
Yeah. Just got to make a tour there, or get a show.
And you just got to get near Deadwood.
You just got to get a show there.
Yeah, that's it.
Yeah.
Spend a good time. I just saw the craziest statue in the world in Washington, D.C. I was at the D.C. Loft last weekend.
Okay.
And I went to the American History Museum before they loot it and just sell it on eBay in a couple of weeks. And so there was a statue that was commissioned and carved and put in the rotunda of some building in 1837 of George Washington. It is based on a painting of Zeus on his throne in Olympus.
Oh. Okay.
Instead of the sword pointing out, it is the hilt, the pommel of the sword, because George Washington, of course, was of service to his country.
Okay.
He is not wearing a shirt. He is wearing sandals, open toe.
Is he ripped?
He is ripped.
Nice.
He is wearing a toga across his he is
Loins?
he is a never nude, is what he
Okay.
is. It is a lot. And it was reviled. It ruined this guy's career. They were
it's a bold choice.
They took it out of the rotunda. They were like, get rid of it. And then they put it out in the rain. It is not an outdoor statue. People were climbing on it, and I assume setting up, you know how back when they were doing selfies in the 1850s, I don't know if you know this, they had to set up cameras in giant boxes, and somebody had to go under a cloth.
Right.
They were doing pictures where people were sitting on his lap, and they're like, okay, we're going to put this away. And they put it in a museum, and nobody's loved it until this year. I mean, this is something that was made for 2025 because it is the dumbest fucking thing I've ever seen in my life. And I'm like, I want it.
Right.
I want a tiny copy of it. I want it to just be somewhere where I can take a selfie with. I mean, if you go to my Instagram, I did a video with it, and I was reminded, because the feet are out of proportion. His feet are enormous. And I was reminded of a Felicia Michaels joke from 1994, 95. Felicia Michaels, great comic.
Yeah.
Won, I think, the America's Got Talent of 1994, which was Star Search.
Okay.
There we go. Felicia Michaels. The joke was in 1995, maybe. It was Bill Clinton has the largest feet of any president in the United States. And you know what they say about presidents with really big feet? They can't get bipartisan support for their health care bill. Now that is a great joke. And if you were alive in 1995, you would have gotten it and gone, I see. And
I mean, I was alive then. It just wasn't, very
No, people weren't sentient. I'm 100. So, but it was such a great joke. And the thing about Felicia Michaels' act in 1995 is that it was also pretty dirty.
Okay.
So sticking that weird foot dick joke in the middle of actual dick jokes was comedy gold. Well played, Felicia Michaels. Find her, follow her, buy her stuff.
Well, I appreciate you getting on. I do like I wanted to end with you were talking about, 2016 or, for Trump's first getting into office, you're scared, you talked about hero, being a statement and stuff. And then, now we're on the precipice of him getting in office again.
Yep.
Still feeling hope. I mean, is it just stay positive and go forward? How you feeling this time around?
It's scary.
It is scary. Yeah.
Here's the only good news. I'm no longer as scared. I'm just angry.
Okay. That's the good news.
That's my takeaway is that I'm not scared. It's still scary.
Yeah.
Because if Kamala would have won, and remember, he got 1.5% of the popular vote more, right? He was he did well in the electoral votes. He was something. It was 49.5%. I think was the actual vote count.
Okay.
Of humans. The electoral vote, something else entirely. It was a great plan of plantation owners. Anyway, we could move on. Is what I'm saying. It's probably more complex than that. Feel free to not write to me. Okay. So, but the thing is if Kamala would have won, we still would have had to fight. Know in your heart that this is happening anyway, right? They want to control or kill women because the women that are dying because they can't have abortions and they can't even get medical procedures because the hospitals are worried that they're going to be called abortions, are dying. And people are still going to get abortions. It's going to happen. I'm so sorry.
Yeah.
If you don't want people to have abortions, don't have sex where people can get pregnant. I don't know. I don't know how to. It's not
interesting.
Yeah, it's not complicated. So, but women are people. They get to pick what to do with their lives, what to do with their bodies. You can't turn it. Lois McMaster Bujold. I was telling you about this science fiction space opera.
Okay. Yeah. Yes.
The most controversial creation in her world building is that there is a thing called a uterine replicator, where you don't have to gestate in the body. You can have a baby in a can, in a uterine replicator.
Okay.
And you crack the can when the baby's fully grown, and then you have a baby. And it means that it takes away the health problems of people dying
The
in
risk,
childbirth,
yeah.
which more and more people are doing. The United States is on fire. I think we know that there has been some trouble but I love I love the ideals of this country
Right.
so
yeah.
much. And I believe in it. And I think that we outnumbered them emotionally, right? And eventually, the unfortunate thing about Trump winning and going into power at this time is that if he had not won, we would have had the credibility of the government to fight this fascism, this Nazism. Because we don't have that, it's going to be bloodier. It's going to be more fighting in the streets. It's going to not look, the Civil War is not going to look like the Civil War.
Yeah, you had the line, this is the laziest Civil War, or whatever.
Right.
That was so funny.
It's been pretty lazy. It's going to be real lazy until it isn't.
Right.
But what people should remember is that we already have a flag. The flag with the blue line on it, the flag with the red line on it. You know that the National Forest System has a green line, and you're like, what is that for? It's just, there is already a flag. We have a flag. If you're into flags, we got one. And we have a Constitution, we have a Declaration of Independence, and we have an ideal. And there's no reason not to fight for it. And so you can be scared, but what you should be is angry at the people who want to take that away from you and the people around you. And the people around you include, your black friends and your brown friends and your trans friends and your Asian friends and your friend with a limp and your friend who's, your lesbians with kids and your gay guys who just don't want to have kids. Everybody.
Yeah.
Everybody's a stalk of meat with a brain on top. And then we have different sausage casings. So because this has more holes in it, and they want to legislate what goes into it and what comes out of it, and that's all they want to talk about is the holes in my body. It doesn't affect the brain part. It's just, if you could just, that's why they, them, and gender stuff is so huge right now, in my opinion. Every 10-year-old I know is a they, them. Because they're being sexualized so early that they're like, could I just be a person for another couple of years before we play Marry, Fuck, Kill? That'd be great. And you're like, okay.
I get that, yeah.
Yeah. And they're not, and these are bits that I'll be doing over the weekend if I remember to do them. I just remembered them now because you asked me.
Hey, well, no, I'm glad I could help.
I'm glad I got to say them aloud, you guys. Remember to do that bit, Jackie.
No, I appreciate it. I mean, I do think this is important stuff, and I want to, give
people
space for you to
hope.
talk. Yeah, and I don't want to feel terrible. Just feel like there's no hope, I guess. Yeah.
Well, and know this is that civilization is inexorable. It's going to. I mean, these people want to shut down black people. They want to shut down brown people. They want to shut down women. They want to say that if you're handicapped or you have cerebral palsy, you should just die. Or
if you're poor, I feel like something.
and then sweepingly poor.
Yeah.
So
I mean,
yeah, it's that. But remember that, and the reason they're so scared is because of how fast the changes are coming because of technology.
Yeah.
So they haven't been able to catch up, and this is just their knee-jerk reaction to, they should be like they were when I was a kid and everybody who was gay just didn't tell me. And you're like, okay, all right, calm down. They won't tell you again. How about that? And because, I don't know if you know any gay people, but that's not their only identity, right? Their who they have sex with is just part of their identity. They also like to play magic cards, or they also enjoy anime too much.
Yeah.
They might have some other hobby that they really think soccer is compelling, whatever, right?
Yeah.
They're whole people. Everybody's a whole person, and it will continue with or without their consent. Because of technology, we all just know too much now, but we're not going backwards.
Right.
It can't. That's not how it goes. The Dark Ages were dark.
Right.
And they lasted, what, 100 years, 80 years? Turns out what came after the Dark Ages.
Renaissance.
Amen.
All right. Yeah, that's nice. I like that. Thank you. I think that's a great place to end it. Thank you so much for coming on. Appreciate it. Go check her out at Comedy Works South if you can. Check out all her albums. And I usually let the guests line us off however they see fit.
Yeah.
I will say Wakanda forever. Be excellent to each other. And I'm not
And
just saying that because you're
What
here.
I say on the Dork Forest is remember the rules out there. Take care of each other.
Thanks. Awesome. Thank you so much.
You're welcome.